Alright, so they're in line waiting for us to get the train, but we got our EMF reader, which they give that to you with the tour along with this weird laser thing.
It's a laser grid.
Yeah, laser grid. So we're gonna get on the train, we're gonna hear some ghost stories, we're gonna investigate, and hopefully the next thing you see is gonna be a bunch of weird creepy clips of us freaking out.
What happens when you mix the color green and a ghost train? Come on, you guys know your primary colors, right? You get red and blue from the St. Augustine PD. Under no circumstances are you guys to use this pin on the train. The cops pull us over, I get in trouble, my boss has to go pick up the pins, tour is canceled, you guys lose your money, no fun for anybody. So no pin use on the train. Cool?
Cool.
Awesome. The other super sweet piece of gear you have is this awesome EMF detector. How many of you guys know what an EMF detector is? What is it?
You would pick me.
Raise your hand, you're on the spot.
True. It reads electromagnetic frequency.
Awesome. Electromagnetic frequency or field, both
True.
useful for our preferred nomenclatures. Most common phrase is electromagnetic field, but frequency works as well. So you ladies, you try to be cute, you play with your gizmo. It is not a stud finder. It will not work as a stud finder no matter how hard you try. It just doesn't work that way.
It works right here.
Right here? On your cell phone.
I have a magnetic.
Alright, so let's talk about this twisty turning knob on the side. This is a volume knob. All it does is control volume. You put it next to anything with electromagnetic frequency, it goes off like a cell phone. These were invented as an electrician's tool to find live wires. So if you put it next to a live wire, it will go off. If you're walking next to an outlet and you put it next to an outlet, it's going to go off. A couple of you guys, because it happens in every tour group, is going to go, oh my god, take pictures right now, it's a ghost. It's not a ghost, it's a light socket. Calm down a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to pass everything over because I'm still in training. So Nicodemus Frost is going to take over from this point.
Good evening.
Nicodemus Frost, everybody.
Hello. Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Jay, everyone.
Woo! Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. When we find our spots on the train, I'm asking you folks to remember what row you were sitting in. We're going to be investigating several places tonight. We can get back on the train, get investigating a lot faster. We get back in the same row we came from. Sound good? All right, let's go find ourselves some spots.
There you got it.
All right, go to the first row in the last train.
How are you losing your blanket?
Come on out, folks. Come on out. I promise there's room for all of us out here. We don't have to stay out here long. If you want to go back inside and be dry once I'm done talking, head right on in. All right. So, welcome. This is the north end of the George Fairbanks plantation. The George Fairbanks plantation was absolutely huge. 16 square blocks total, all the way back from where our ghost meter started going off back there, all the way up here, all the way over to San Sebastian River. Now, back in those days, back in the 1830s, this was an orange plantation. Nothing but orange trees as far as the eye could see. Now, see, St. Augustine, we do here pretty well for oranges for a few years, but about every 50, 60 years or so, we get ourselves a really good freeze. One happened in 1835. Froze off this entire plantation, killed off everything. George Fairbanks, the owner of this plantation, he left, he abandoned this plantation. But he also abandoned the people working here. Now let's be really clear, this is pre-Civil War. That means we're talking about 52 slaves left here in the middle of the worst winter St. Augustine has seen in almost a century, with no food and no way to grow food. They go to town, they ask for help, they're told, no, it's George Fairbanks' problem, but he's ignoring it. He's just gone to town, or gone to Amelia Island. So now, they come back to this abandoned plantation. They do the best they can. But between the cold, the age of them, some of them too young, too old, too sick, whatever it may have been, 20 of them did not survive. They couldn't even get the priest to come up and give them last rites. They finally pull out the family Bibles and bury them in one mass grave right over here, where we now have the stable area, and over on the parking lot some too. Now, this left a darkness upon this land, a shame that continues to this day. Now, in the 1980s and 1990s, understanding what they had built upon, a place called the Old Florida Museum came through here, and they built themselves, well, the building we just walked through, all these other buildings out here. These are all recreated historic buildings to teach fourth graders about Florida history. But the thing is, when you build these old historic buildings well enough, what you do is you build something the spirits recognize from their lives, and they move right on in. Within a few weeks, we had Native American ghosts in the Native American hut, slaves from the plantation times in these cabins, and we still hear children's voices coming from the old abandoned schoolroom. Now, this was not a problem until 1994. In 1994, a fourth grade school group came through here and got so scared they nearly trampled over each other in the process of trying to escape. Word gets out this place is so haunted you cannot even have a business here. And Ripley said, you know what? That's exactly the kind of bad reputation we're looking for our haunted house. Whoops. Now you've seen the movies where they hold the haunted house in the wrong place, right? Yeah, now nothing spectacularly bad happened here, but halfway through the season, the insurance company calls and says, you know what, you're done. So here's the thing, you're going through accident reports, Band-Aids like they're going out of style, and weird things on the accident reports. Pushed by a hand that I could not see, lifted a foot in the air before I fell off that porch. Got off those, they said, do not do a haunted house here again. That's when we decided that you folks would be the ones who get to have, the luxury of doing ghost investigations here. But before we did that, we thought we'd bring in a paranormal investigator, a psychic, a medium, auto writer, opens herself to the spirits, writes down what the spirits tell her to write. Now, here's some things we've gotten over the years. At the very beginning here, we have beware of bad ghosts in this place. My plantation was here, some family buried under us. Bill was a big guy for your son. Now, the interesting thing about the auto writer is it's almost as though the spirits were clamoring and all kind of trying to make themselves known to her all at once. So many of these have different voices. We have another one that comes in here at the very end that says, you're not me. So maybe this one would pretend to be George Fairbanks, or who knows. But either way, we've got different spirits here. Next photo is taken by one of our guests here in the Native American hut down here at the end. And if you look here in this photo, right next to where you can see a bit of laser pattern, right in this area right here, you can see actually the figure of what appears to be a small child. And this particular auto writing says soul, but black people and Indian children also. So there's a couple of things going on here. And then another one that was actually taken right over here. We actually got this building over here has a couple of doors. You can see a figure on this door right here. This one is, she's a black girl and worked on farm. Jill stayed here, just moved me out of the way. And then the last one we have here is actually taken right over here. This one was taken actually by one of our guests in front of these stables, and it actually is what we believe is the spiritual guide for the plantation. I see her name was Venus, and what we have from her is spirit guide died here. Venus, married to Tom. And every time she contacts us, she wants us to know that she is sorry. She's the only one who took charge of these things when everyone else abandoned it. So, as a result, she always lets us know that she's sorry. Sorry, and sorry. Now, these are some of the things that people experience here. It's now your turn to investigate. Folks have any questions? I'll actually be glad to answer them, as will Jay. Now, just so that you know, we quite often have the ghost meters going off quite a bit in the Native American hut here where that last fourth grade school group came through. We often get more interesting photos down over here in this area where we believe the mass grave is, but we have hauntings all over this location. Now, one last thing. Not all of us tonight may be believers, but even if you're not. But almost certainly had that sense that something's been wrong. The hair on the back of your neck has stood up. Whatever it may be, a place like this where so many dark things have happened, listen to that sense. It'll help you find the spirits just as much as anything else. All right, the spirits are out there. Good luck. Go find them.
Got it run through real quick. Okay, we're good. Is there anybody here?
What's that thing?
It's a ghost box. So what it does is it runs through the radio stations, and if a spirit wants to make contact with you, it'll use the radio station to say things.
They could talk
Have you
through
seen-
the
have you
static
seen
or through the
Transformers?
radio itself.
It's kind of like Bumblebee when he talks through him, yeah. But like you can ask it questions and it'll answer you.
Anybody here with us right now?
Ghosts can, but ghosts stand. We walk through that fence.
Let's try. What's your name?
I don't want to walk through the fence. It's gonna hurt.
It's trying so hard.
It is. If you can't talk, can you make this go off?
How old are you? Did you die here?
I'm looking at it.
How many people are here with us? I wish we had our other one. It's trying so hard. You want us to move out of this space?
Let's go over to the Native American.
The yellow in here.
Ooh, it feels heavy in here.
It does. I'm either gonna move it all out there.
Hi,
Anywhere.
my name is Noah. What's your name?
Pick that up. Pick up the phone.
Is this yours? Is it okay if I touch this? What am I holding in my hand? What is this?
Something's trying.
Dean, if you need my energy, take my energy, but tell me what's in my hand.
Is there rain getting in here?
Yeah.
Damn.
Did you record that?
Yeah, it's recording.
Sorry. That was my phone.
Come on, Vito. Get with it. Do better.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Now that's scary.
Oh my god.
Where's my brother? So people were taking pictures in here and they said they saw something.
Is there anybody in here? Anybody here with us right now?
Were you left here to die?
Is that not an outline of a body right there?
Where?
Ooh, I see it. I see it. Ooh. Yes. Where was that at?
Right in front of the hut.
Oh my god. That looks like a
Where?
Victorian lady.
Yeah.
Where, baby?
That's a face.
Where? Point it out specifically.
Look, you see the lips, the teeth, the eye.
That literally
right there?
looks like a woman like coming out to you.
I just see
The
I see
arms.
2 raindrops and then
Look. Here's the arms. Here's the body. This is her dress.
those are raindrops. They are. Vito and I watched. Those are raindrops.
But look at. Do you guys not see the face? Do you see
Is
the
it a
eye
live
right here?
photo?
And the mouth and the teeth right there?
Is it a live photo?
Yeah.
Play it.
See, it was raindrops.
What?
Oh,
But that
you're
looks
gonna.
like a face. Look,
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
doesn't it look like a nose and a mouth?
Welcome to the Huguenot Cemetery. As I mentioned, the Huguenot Cemetery is absolutely huge. It begins with that yellow fever outbreak of 1821. 450 bodies buried in one giant swath. From the front of the cemetery over there, sweeping all the way over the clock tower behind you. Now,
What?
if you're standing here 150 years ago, you'd be standing amongst a forest of wooden grave markers. See, back in those days, if you were rich, you got yourself a headstone, but most people, they get a wooden grave marker. 100 years go by, that wooden grave marker just rot as a person underneath it. The city comes along and says, hey, you know what? We can make use of space. Put a fence around the cemetery. You can tell where it is. It's where the headstones are. One lone historian says, hey, you know what? I think I've seen an old map and some photos. And so, you know what, don't worry about it. We need to make use of the space. So now we stand in the Huguenot Cemetery right now. In fact, this right here was so populated, they say that there's probably about 150 bodies between here and right over there where the beginning of that circle begins. So, a whole lot. This was a very popular spot to be buried. It was more towards the center. They thought you'd be less likely to get grave robbed in this spot. Now, the thing about this is that every cemetery here in St. Augustine has its guardian spirits. Right over there, the Talamato, it has a couple of native spirits that will rush over at anyone who tries to climb over the wall. This one has a judge, Judge Stickney. And fortunately, he doesn't mind that we stand in the cemetery even now because he shows good judgment. Okay, bad pun. Now, let me show you his headstone. His headstone is actually across the cemetery right over there. Underneath that bright light, underneath that tree, is that headstone right there with a pointed top on it. That is the headstone of a man by the name of Judge Stickney. Now, Judge Stickney, he actually came down here shortly after the Civil War. He was trying to put the country back together after it torn itself apart. Ends up being fairly well beloved. Dies in the year, I believe, 1883. Ends up being buried right over there underneath that headstone. Everybody can say, hey, Judge Stickney, we miss you. All was well and good for about 9 years when the rest of the family says, hey, everyone else, they're all buried up in Washington, D.C. They called down to the keeper of the cemetery, Horace Wells, hey, can you dig up good old Judge Stickney for us? So they, Horace Wells comes over, he's digging him. Must have been a slow day, though, because half the town gathers around to watch him dig up Judge Stickney. So Horace Wells, he's about ready to pull the coffin up out of the ground when two drunken men join the crowd. Horace Wells opens the coffin, takes a look inside, sees Judge Stickney, pretty good shape for a man who's now been dead for 9 years. But now the crowd, they've been curious all morning. They're quite impatient. They begin to take push in, take a better look. And as they're pushing, Horace Wells pushed back away from the coffin. And I see these people reaching in there, manhandling Judge Stickney's bones. They keep the graveyard. This is his worst nightmare. Which everyone back, and he takes a look, and now he realizes someone has stolen Judge Stickney's gold teeth. Looks around, recognizes everybody except for the two drunken men, joined the crowd at the last minute. They are gone. Spent a couple days looking for them, can't find them. Nothing to do but close up the coffin and send Judge Stickney, by his teeth, up to Washington, D.C. Now his body made it up there, but his spirit remains. They say quite often late at night you see a man dressed all in black, black string tie, black hat, ducking down, the very base of that headstone right over there. Judge Stickney, still looking for those gold teeth of his. Now, as I say, he is the guardian spirit. He does not mind me standing here talking about a story, telling the stories of the dead here, but he'll remind you that this is a place where they still deserve respect. You see, I had a friend of mine. She's actually a ghost tour guide. Near the end of the summer, she had a walking tour right up there on the sidewalk. Now, that sidewalk in both southbound lanes of A1A spent a bit of time being inside the Huguenot Cemetery. She had not mentioned this to the group. And there's a guy in the group, he'd heard the whole story of Judge Stickney, and he figures, oh, well, I'm going to be a ghost investigator, and I'm going to provoke those spirits. So he says, I don't need Judge Stickney, you had no trust in justice. You would lock up anyone, and he gets that far before he chokes. It happened so fast, my friend thought she was going to have to use like a Heimlich maneuver on him. He said it felt like a hand had been crushing his throat. Now that's Judge Stickney. He'll remind you that we can stand here, we can talk about the dead, begin disrespecting them in this last place where they ask for that respect. He'll let you know there's spirits here that are very, very active.
Ripley's at night.
You have a flashlight.
I can have you guys kind of fill in this display case here.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's James Dean.
Right there.
It smells good. Been working all day.
Oh yeah. I like it that way. To be the kitchen area for what was once known as the Castle Warden Hotel. It was owned by the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of The Yearling and Cross Creek. Her name was Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, and her husband Norton Baskin purchased this place 1 week before its scheduled demolition in 1941. They had the hopes of turning it into a luxurious hotel, doing just that. No room here costs less than $200 a night, which some of you may be thinking, well, that sounds kind of average for a hotel room these days. But back then it would be equal to over $3,000 per room. So clearly, only the wealthiest of the wealthy stayed here. At least until April 23rd, 1944, when a man walked through the two front doors of the lobby and signed his name into the registry with just an X. He walks in, and she signs in under her real name, Betty Richardson. And although her last name may have had the word rich in it, she was not rich by any means of the word. She was a dressmaker from Jacksonville. She was Mr. X's mistress, and by the end of the night, she would be one of the 2 dead bodies found within this hotel. You can come follow me down this hallway here.
So, that spot right there is where Betty, her name was Betty, she died. So everyone's been kind of taking flash pictures and getting orbs. Probably we'll have some like right now. So you can see kind of the orbs we've been getting. I think Ashley got a picture.
I have a few. We'll insert those right now.
Okay. Yeah, right here is the spot, right here. And there's no one sitting here.
These
don't have
3
anything.
seats is where the bathtub was that she was found dead.
This is the EMF reader. It's definitely going off. Oh, hello there, Head. How did I not see you before? Ooh. Oh, that's where the alligator thing is.
Alright guys, I do just want to warn you before we go around this corner here, there's a display case hanging off the wall about 1.5 foot, so please do watch out for it. For you guys that are Star Wars fans, it is a Star Wars exhibit. If you strike the Empire strikes back. Now we are about to head out this way. Do just watch out for that display case and try to stay to the left as we pass this door.
Hey, Richard, you gonna look at that Star Wars stuff? Yeah, you gonna look at that Star Wars stuff.
Hey guys, if we could just fill out the back part of this room here so everyone else can try to fit in the room as well. Alright. There we go.
That's a cat, huh?
That's just enough. That's everyone now. Perfect. So like I said, it was Mr. X's room. And can anyone guess what suite number it was?
14.
Close, yes, 13. This was unlucky room number 13. And this wall right here actually cut it off, so it does seem like a small room. However, it was the premier suite because it looked right out at downtown St. Augustine, the fort, and the bayfront area. So it had beautiful views. Everyone wanted this room, and Mr. X got this one. However, Betty's room was as far away as possible in the opposite end of the building, in the other corner. And she was a little confused when she got up there. He usually had it planned out perfectly so they would be situated right next to each other. The other room would have been right on the other side of this wall. But that wasn't the case tonight. She was confused, so she goes around the building looking for him, eventually getting to room number 13. She's knocking on the door. She's causing a lot of commotion. She's saying, "Let me in. I know something's wrong. We have to talk." So he lets her in to try to stop any further commotion. But she doesn't stop there. She's saying, "Why are you doing this to me? Why is this my fault? What are you doing? What can I do?" And he cuts her off there. He's saying, "Betty, it's it. This is our last weekend together. After that, you gotta hit the road." But she did what any of us would do if we were a poor woman with a wealthy man thinking we were gonna lose everything. We said, "I'm pregnant." Now, of course, he did not believe her for a second. He cut her off. He said, "Betty, there's no baby. You're crazy. Get out of here now. I don't want to see you ever again." So she went to her last resort saying, "Well, how about I tell your business associates, your friends, and oh yeah, how about I tell your wife while I'm at it?" And that's when he snapped. He grabbed Betty by the neck. He drug her across the room and hits her head right on this same exact mantle. This is where Betty met her demise. Now, he didn't plan this. It was all out of rage. He didn't know what he was doing. So what he does next is gets her on his bed and wraps her in those same bed linens she was found in, and then drags her the whole length we just walked back to her room, placing her in her bathtub to be found after the fire. Now, why did no one see this? We're going to get to that in the next part. You guys are going to have a couple of minutes to take pictures in here. You guys have about 3 minutes to take pictures. Not 3 minutes, I'm sorry. You have about 2 minutes to take pictures in here. I will tell you this corner over here gets a lot of great shadow figures. And then my favorite picture that we actually have is of a man that's standing this tall, much taller than everyone else that was on the tour that night. All you could see was his pale chin and lips. The rest of his face was covered by a hat and a dark coat he was wearing. The lady that took the picture stopped the tour immediately and told the tour guide. She said, well, who is this in the picture? I don't see them anywhere. So our tour guide then stopped the tour for about 5 minutes, holding up the other half of the tour, looking at the picture and looking at everyone in the room, trying to see who it possibly could have been. And there was no one that fit the description on that tour tonight. Very lastly, this mirror has been here, and any mirror that you will see in the museum has been here since the hotel was renovated and opened up in 1941. So you have to think of all the things this mirror has seen. It's seen everyone come through this museum during the day. It's seen everyone come through the ghost tour on night, everyone that stayed in the hotel room, and of course it saw the murders. We get a lot of great pictures through here as well, so you guys can try to take some creative photos as well. I'll be standing by this doorway back here if any of you have questions. But like I said, you guys have about probably a minute and a half now. I'll let you know we're ready to move on.
And the flash begins.
She didn't see anything. She actually just happened to walk down and be in the wrong place at the wrong time. After Mr. X had already drugged Betty's dead body all the way back to her room, he started to head back to his. And when he got right around this corner here, he looks over and Ruth walks down. Now he's all rattled up. He doesn't know what she knows, if she knows anything, but he's convinced that she does. So without any hesitation, he runs right over to her, grabs her by the neck, strangles her to death, and then takes her back up to her room, placing her in her bathtub as well. Now, why did not anyone see this out of the entire building? This was after everyone would have already checked out and before new people would have checked in. It was a Sunday. You can go back and look, April 23rd, 1944. At any point throughout the night, and you want to go back and look at those, if you're able to get it on a bigger screen, like a computer, or even if you're able to use Chromecast or Apple TV and get it on a TV, that would...
Yeah, we're back tomorrow for the regular
Did you guys have fun? That's how I'm going to end the video.